Alright, this is Suicide Squad's the first issue, iconic cover. We have got the 8 characters, their heads, and then in the middle it says, these 8 people will put their lives on the line for our country. It means your country, America, not mine. One of them will not be coming home. It is blatant which one. We have Cara Delevingne, Boomerang, Tiger Stripe, 90 Sides, who we actually didn't see until issue 2. Up here, Deathshot, Barbie, the RoboCop remake, and Mind Bottler, the world's most obvious red shirt. Other than her, it's almost an all-star Suicide Squad. Kind of a shame that this first issue barely features them. We start with a scene that I am going to speculate. This entire first scene was hastily rewritten at the last moment, as evidenced by a lot of the lettering looking off and looking sloppy and not quite fitting the boxes and the bubbles right. This opening scene, we are in an airport and it is attacked by a group of superpowered terrorists. They are called the Jizz Heads and they are not very interesting. But this series really thinks that they are. This first scene, it is meant to be these terrorists, these Middle Eastern superpowered terrorists, attacking and slaughtering an airport. And what is this? Call of Duty Modern Warehouse 2, but it is my belief that it has been rewritten to say that actually this is not an airport. It is a set. They created a set of an airport to test out the super terrorists and their powers. It is a lot of effort to construct a very lifelike fake airport and find about 500 actors to pretend to be passengers and security just to test your super agents. It would be a lot easier and a lot more cost effective to just attack a real airport. But the Jizz Heads, these characters, they're naught to me. This first issue takes the unusual approach of being very keen on establishing all of them. I'm not going to say what any of their names are, because in 2 years' time, they will probably all be considered racist names. One of the Jizz Heads, maybe 2 of them, end up eventually joining Suicide Squads. They are meant to be like the arch enemies of Suicide Squads. They're just not very exciting. Like this one, he brings down a plane with a flaming sword. And it's just not grabbing me attention. Maybe because the plane is just an actor that they hired to play the part of a plane to test their abilities. Fucking ludicrous, isn't it? So here is the aftermath with all these dead actors and a destroyed fake airport. Who funds this? It is a terrible use of financial resources. This page here is the one where they really hammer home the idea that this wasn't a real airport and it was just a recreation and a set. And all the lettering on this page, it doesn't quite match the style of the rest of the issue. So, yeah, I reckon that this was obviously written as being an actual terrorist attack on an airport, and then either DC wimped out of it, or something happened in the news that was similar to this, and DC wimped out of it. It being a staged demonstration in the Middle East with 300 or so actors who were killed. It makes Suicide Squad's getting involved seem a bit odd. Comic gets much better now though, where you're introduced to the actual team and the setup, like the prison and the warden and all the supporting characters. We are even straight away given some of the great cross-title references between this small corner of the DC universe. We have Parasect. He is shown as being an inmate, and this is after his appearance in an issue of Firelord. He will eventually end up on Suicide Squads for a mission. And here is our Suicide Squads. We didn't get to see them in action at all. This issue is entirely set up, and I think that is a poor first issue. However, the second issue, which continues and finishes off this story with the Jizz Heads, the second issue is really, really good. Before this, Suicide Squads had been, well, this version of them, they had been introduced in the Legends crossover, and so this is like their second mission. We get some quick character exposition here, where you're offered some brief psychological profiles on most of them. We didn't get much at all about Mind Bottler. Before this, she had appeared in a single issue of Firelord, but they did give her a tiny little arc here, but it's mostly to establish that Boomerang is an arsehole, and these people are not really heroes. More stuff setting up the terrorists, but it's really the tiny morsels of character moments between the Suicide Squad's team that make this issue a bit enjoyable. Boomerang, he is always hitting on Barbie, for example, and then Barbie, she is constantly shutting them down. If you didn't know, Barbie, she is another, well, she started out as a Firelord baddie, and then she became more developed as a Captain Atom Ant enemy, and then later she became his girlfriend, and later still his wife, and later even more his ex-wife. This story is before any of the Captain Atomant stories, and it's quite interesting to see how Barbie was a character that they did seem to be aware had a bit more potential to her than the other Fire Lord bad guys like Mind Bottler or Slipknot. For some reason, an obscene amount of Fire Lord baddies end up on Suicide Squads. Best scene is here though. Boomerang is hitting on Barbie some more, and then Mind Bottler embarrasses him by using her illusion powers to show his greatest fear, which is the superheroes laughing at him for being a loser. And he gets really annoyed and he calls her a bike. That is bike with a B, not a D. Is bike a thing that Australians say as an insult? You never hear it on Neighbours. Jim Robinson, when he was having a heart attack, he didn't call his ticker a 6-gear two-wheeler, did he? Then Boomerang, he is about to be racist. And this display of an arsehole being an arsehole, it is a great way to end the issue, showing us that these ain't your mum's superheroes, are they? I wasn't kidding or exaggerating. We really didn't get to see the team in action. They are still at base at the end of the issue, about to leave for an adventure. I really do think too much of this is exposition and set up, and mostly it is all for the bad guys. If issue 2 wasn't so good, I would be a lot more harsh on this. But if you're gunning to read it, make sure you get issue 2 as well. Otherwise, this will leave you feeling unsatisfied. I'll give it suicide thumbs up.